My name is Sarah, and I want to tell you about an evening that was supposed to be just a quiet anniversary dinner and turned into the moment I am most proud of in recent memory. Not because I did anything grand or dramatic, but because I said something true at exactly the right time and watched what truth does when it lands in a room of people who were not expecting it. Before I tell you about that evening, let me tell you a little about the year that came before it, because context is the thing that makes a moment make sense. And without the context, this is just a woman at a bar saying something clever. With the context, it is something else. 2 years before that anniversary, I had tested positive for the BRCA gene mutation, which is the hereditary marker that significantly raises a woman's risk of developing breast cancer. My mother had had breast cancer. Her mother had had it before her. I was 38 years old and healthy, and the test result was a piece of information that required a decision. And I made the decision the way I make everything, carefully, with full information, in conversation with my doctors and my husband, who is the person I make every serious decision with. I chose a preventative double mastectomy. I want to say that clearly because sometimes when people hear the word preventative, they think it means easy or obvious or less than a real decision. It is none of those things. It is the decision to surgically remove a part of your body that has not yet harmed you because the mathematics of your genetics say it likely will. It is an enormous decision about your body and your future and your sense of yourself, and I made it, and I would make it again. And it saved my life in the way that preventing a thing saves you from it. Before we go further, please take a moment to subscribe if you are new here. These stories matter, and your support helps them reach people who need them. Now, let me take you to that bar. The reconstruction process after a double mastectomy is not something that ends on the operating table. It is a process, sometimes a long one, involving tissue expanders and implants and the gradual settling of the new shape of your body into something that feels like yours again. A year after my surgery, I was still in that process. My reconstructed breasts were what surgeons sometimes describe as still settling in, which means they had not yet fully relaxed into their natural position and had a quality that could fairly be described as buoyant. I was aware of this. My husband was aware of this. My doctors had told me it was completely normal and temporary, and that my body was doing exactly what it was supposed to do. I had made my peace with it, the way you make peace with things that are the result of choices you stand behind completely. On our anniversary, my husband suggested dinner at a restaurant we had been meaning to try in the city. I dressed for it. I put on a blouse that was somewhat low-cut, not dramatically, but noticeably, the kind of blouse you wear when you want to feel like yourself and like the woman your husband is taking to dinner. I want to be clear that I'm not describing the blouse defensively. I'm describing it because it is relevant, and because I refuse to frame what happened that evening as something I should have dressed differently to avoid. I arrived at the bar area of the restaurant early because my husband was running a few minutes behind. I ordered a drink. I sat down. I was a woman at a bar on her anniversary in a blouse she had chosen for the man she loved, 1 year out from surgery, feeling good in the particular way you feel good when you have been through something hard and come out of it still standing. The group was already there when I arrived, a mix of women and men, somewhere in the well into the evening stage of drinking, the kind of loud that people get when they have stopped monitoring how much of the room they are occupying with their voices. I noticed them the way you notice a group like that when you're sitting alone, as ambient noise, as background. I was not paying particular attention to them. I was checking my phone and sipping my drink and thinking about the restaurant menu I had looked up earlier. Then I heard my name in the conversation. Not my name exactly. I heard a description that was clearly about me, about the way I looked, about my breasts specifically, delivered with the specific volume and confidence of people who have decided that the woman 3 feet away from them is either not listening or does not matter enough to lower their voices for. They were talking about women with reconstructed or augmented breasts. They were talking about how much they disliked them, how fake they looked, how the women who had them were performing something, were trying too hard, were somehow less than. The words fake and artificial and trying to be something you are not came up more than once. I listened. I did not turn around immediately. I finished the sentence I was reading on my phone. I set my phone down on the bar. I picked up my drink, and then I turned around and I looked at them and I said, in the conversational tone of someone making a reasonable observation, "You know what I hate more than fake breasts." They stopped talking. The table went quiet in the way tables go quiet when someone has interrupted a private conversation, except this had not been a private conversation, and everyone at that table understood in the silence that followed that they had been heard the whole time. The silence lasted about 2 seconds, maybe 3, long enough for every face at that table to reconfigure itself from the loose, open expression of people mid-conversation into something more careful, more uncertain, more aware that they were about to receive information they had not accounted for. I let the silence sit. Then I said, "Breast cancer." 2 words, that was all. I did not explain, I did not elaborate, I did not tell them about the BRCA gene or the preventative surgery or the year of reconstruction or the settling in or any of the rest of it. 2 words were the whole sentence, and the whole sentence was enough, because the 2 words contained everything that needed to be said and said it more completely than any elaboration could have. The table was quiet for another moment. Someone said, "Shit, sorry." Someone else looked at the bar. A couple of them exchanged the specific look of people who have just understood something they wish they had understood before they said what they said. They gathered themselves up over the next few minutes in the slightly accelerated way of a group that is ready to be somewhere else, finished their drinks, and left. I turned back to the bar. I picked up my phone. I thought about the evening ahead, the dinner reservation, the restaurant menu, my husband on his way. I felt something that I want to describe accurately, because the accurate description is more interesting than the simple one. I did not feel triumphant in the loud way. I felt clear, the specific clarity of a person who has said something true in a situation that required truth, and has watched truth do its work and found it sufficient. It was sufficient. 2 words were sufficient. Breast cancer. That is what I hate more. My husband arrived about 10 minutes later. He came in with the particular energy he always has when he is slightly late and knows it, the combination of apology and affection that I have been receiving for 14 years and hope to receive for 40 more. He kissed me and sat down and said, "How was the wait?" I told him about the group. I told him what they had said and what I had said back. He looked at me for a moment, and then he laughed. Not the polite laugh of someone who thinks something is mildly amusing, the full laugh of someone who is genuinely delighted, the laugh that means, "I know exactly who you are and I love you for it." We laughed together at the bar for a few minutes, and then we went to dinner and had the kind of anniversary evening that belongs to people who have gone through hard things together and arrived on the other side of them still choosing each other. I want to say something to close this because I think it is the most important part of the whole story, and it is the part that the original Reddit post ended with, and I believe it is worth ending here too. Don't judge. You might not know the whole story. The woman at the bar with the buoyant, reconstructed breasts in the somewhat low-cut blouse on her anniversary might be 1 year out from a surgery she chose to save her own life. The person you are commenting on might be carrying something you cannot see from where you are sitting. The whole story is almost always more complicated and more human and more worth your compassion than the piece of it you can observe from 3 feet away with a drink in your hand. I am not angry at those people. I gave them the information they needed, and they received it, and they left. I had dinner with my husband. We had a good laugh. We had a good life. And I am still here. That is the whole story. If it stayed with you, share it with someone who needs it today. Subscribe if you are new here. I will see you in the next one.